Hey everyone, Temporal here, and for this session we are reviewing a gold Orisa player who is also a GM, top 500 I think they said, support player. So this is PC, gold Orisa, and they are also GM for support. So let's see what's holding back their Orisa. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, all sorts of good stuff we have like that. Was what off? I don't know what you guys are asking about. Is this comp something I'd recommend? Is this comp something I'd recommend? This comp looks reasonable, actually. So we look at this comp. They're doing good. I have to turn the stream off. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. So here we are. We are looking at our Orisa, our Ball, Mercy Echo, Ash. Yeah, this looks pretty solid. I mean, this is pretty solid poke heroes right here, and this will be able to keep our Orisa up if she does get pushed. Yeah, this comp looks perfectly reasonable. It's not like, oh my gosh, best comp ever, but for ladder, no problems. The stream was off. I still don't know what you're talking about, but okay. Here we go. Here we are. Why are you fortifying here? Was that for the Doomfist? Okay, Adam with the 199 super chat in here to say temporal sucks. I swear I can't get this stream going at all, but that's okay. Here we go for real. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. So you're putting pressure out there. That's fine. You've used that to extend correctly. I don't know why you popped your Fortify here. Like, even if the Doomfist is coming in, the Doomfist wasn't going to punish you by coming in here. You don't in any way need this Fortify. There's no sudden burst of damage coming out on you. This was like a, I got scared, I heard the Doomfist reaction. And if he was punching into you, maybe you wanted the Fortify. But that's it, and I don't think you knew where he was coming from. And if he was slamming you, you didn't care, and he definitely wasn't uppercutting you. Uppercutting you, you might have cared to fortify. But you didn't care about a slam, you didn't see him coming with a punch. Fortify doesn't make sense, and now you don't have it. Okay, aim better. Yes, aim better. I hate saying that, but here we are. You throw that, we can aim here. We know what's going to happen. We know we threw our halt, and now while our halt is out there, we still individually have to be able to aim our crosshair. So we should have our crosshair. Clearly, this Doomfist is running in this direction, so our crosshair should be here-ish and going this way. We should be crosshair should be here and being dragged left. If you look at your crosshair, and I've slowed this down so that you can see it,
not so fast.
You're really slow to get there. You hit the halt. And I don't even think you got there. I think what you did is you were going to the place where the Doomfist was going to be halted to and just holding your crosshair there. That's not good enough. You got to flick. You got to flick, track, and then flick to where the halt's going to be. That's what you have to do. If you're going to get eliminations with halt, if you're going to use halt to finish people off, which is totally valid to have done against this Doomfist, you're going to be having to get more damage. Like, you should be able to get half of his health almost off of your halt. And you're not here. And it's because you didn't do your aiming properly. And it's not like, oh, you mechanically aren't good enough. It's a case of you didn't do the aim at where the places he was going to be were. That was not explained terribly well, but you know he's going to be pulled to here. You know that he was walking away. So as he's walking away, you flick to where he's walking away, you track, and then you flick back as soon as you trigger the halt, or as soon as he's pulled from you triggering the halt, and you're shooting him in the head. And then it's very easy tracking for about half a second because he's got this really bad slow on him for a moment after the halt. And then he's at like 30 health and you laugh and then you have to do some real tracking to finish him. This wasn't hard. Up to $7 today. Oh, Adam on Super Chats. Yeah. And I really appreciate that from Adam. Super Chats are great. We're looking like a Twitch channel. Well, okay. We're looking like what YouTube is trying to do with their streaming. The takeaway is Adam is willing to pay $7 so far for temporal stacking. There we go. There we go.
Please move behind the bar.
I don't want you to do this. Okay, whatever. What's this ult for? Good, that's the right fortify. But where are you going to be when this fortify ends? What's your plan? You don't have a fresh shield, your fortify's ended, and you're in the middle of the enemy. This is about to hurt a lot. You see how that worked? Like, if we go back to this engagement, and we just go, hey, let's zoom out for a moment. We're pushing the cart, we're pressuring, great, fine with me. I don't really think you had any desire to be here, to be where you are. Like, this is just like, wait, why would you be here? You could go here, then you're still pushing the cart. You can still shoot at them from up here. If they drop, they're on the other side of the cart that they have to go around or over, which takes them a little more time. And you can kite back into here to join your team if you're getting pushed. Here, I don't really like this. I don't really like this at all. But truth be told, you didn't need to push this card at all. You could have happily been like, hey, I'm here. I'm pressuring you from here. And my ball is going to roll through and push the cart through. I, as Orisa, don't need to go push the cart before we've softened up your front line enough. No real need to do that. Not sure I would have read that one out loud since it might be taken the wrong way. I'll deal. It's a lot of shots into that. And again, we wanted to make sure that we were in a safe place when this fortify ended. We're just way too in the middle of it for Orisa. And you didn't build up some big lead before you got into the middle of it. No. Now you could actually potentially push forward. This is really too passive in some ways. You're actually doing some good work here. You can get somewhat aggressive here. Like, you do have to think about, hey, where's my team? Are we ready? And the answer is they're somewhat ready. You could let them deal with the Doomfist first, but your team is in reasonable shape. You could get aggressive with this next shield. You could push at this Reinhardt because you still have Fortify and you know it. This is different. You've built yourself a little bit of a lead. This is very passive. So now you're choosing that basically for this next 10-second cycle, you're going to play from here. You want to actually get 10 seconds out of this barrier, but you're not planning to really aggress until you have very close to your next barrier, which I'm not sure I'd have wanted to make that decision. Sure. Good. Can't pick your target. Sure. Know your corner. No, you interrupted your reload, and Orisa has a really long reload. So you want to use you can use the supercharger to interrupt your reload after that point. See how your thing just sort of flashed green at you here? This thing right here? This is the point at which you can interrupt your reload. Well, it should be. Was I just a frame too early? Now I bet it has.
Establishing defense point.
So here's the part, excuse me. I did do it a tiny bit early, so we'll do it again just to show you. The thing is spinning, the thing is glowing, you interrupted it too early, the thing is spinning, the thing is glowing,
Establishing defense point.
and there is your actual reload. So that's when you want to be going, hey, this is when I might interrupt my reload, because it's a super long reload with a supercharger, or with a fresh shield as Orisa, because those things will get rid of the back, not half, but like third of your reload, which can be useful since she has such a long reload. And you were close to it when you dropped that supercharger, and it's not like your team got anything huge by you dropping that supercharger and having to go through most of your reload again. Did you fortify right there too? No, you're already fortified. Okay, stabilize. Not sure what that hold was for. No, no. Why are you reloading with 82 ammo? We just talked about how incredibly expensive your reloads are. You have targets right in front of you. Rhine Shield is a perfectly viable target for you right now. We don't reload. We shoot at the Rhine Shield. And we definitely don't walk at him unless we're willing to fortify to try to finish him. I don't really feel that his team is weak enough for you to push right now. You're not even going to fortify here? Interesting. Now you fortify. And you're still going to have to back because your fortify was a little late and you got purpled. Not amazing. Okay. When we're done, maybe we will push this the right way and not just try to brute force mid. Now that we have a clean reset, can we take high ground and push through there? Maybe, maybe. 11 times 82, 900 wasted damage. Yeah. That's a really passive shield. Like, that's a really passive shield for where the card is and what you want your team to do. Yes, you can use your shield to extend corners, but we didn't want to extend the corner this way. We wanted to extend the corner a little more this way so that we could use this more aggressively. We can't really get as aggressive as we'd like with this shield, and there's no reason we have to hold this far back. And again, every shield placement matters because it's a 10-second cooldown. Yeah, see, you're trying to get even moderately aggressive, and whoops, your shield isn't good enough for that. No, that was ambitious at best. And generally, you'd have interrupted the back portion of that reload with your fresh barrier, which is going to be, say, at the back of the cart. Or it's partially protected by cover. No. Okay, this could have been your first barrier. This shouldn't be your second barrier. It's fine. We're supercharging again. Late. Oh no, you did hit the fortify. Let's take a look here. Oh, you hit the fortify early. That's what's going on. Yikes.
60 seconds remaining.
I just don't care that much about the Doomfist. Yeah, like, the Doomfist had no follow-up. No follow-up. We don't really want to spend fortify on this because, again, like, you keep using your cooldowns, which means you don't then have the ability, have the tools to push forward. This is painful.
Resistance.
But you can't do this. You have to tuck bind card. Like, you're missing health. You have no cooldowns. The Mercy's glued to you. It's not going to be enough. No, you need to leave. You need to either tuck bind cart or you need to hard retreat to here while not shooting. While not shooting. Nope. Nope, you move too slow while shooting. And there's a Nano Reinhardt and a D.Va moving in on you. And Nano Reinhardt hurts at close range, and D.Va also hurts at close range. Not going to work.
Archiving combat data.
Should barriers generally be put out on cooldown, or can you afford to be opportunistic with them to block specific cooldowns? No to both. That's not really how her barrier works. Her barrier isn't a I used on cooldown. It isn't a I just try to maximize the uptime of my barrier to keep shooting at them and keep shooting at them and just like we trade barriers. It's not that, nor is it a I hold my barrier until the self-destruct shows up and I block that, or I hold my barrier until the sleep dart shows up or the hog hook shows up and I block that. It's not really either of those. Her barrier is how she pushes. It's one of her tools for, okay, team's ready, looks like the team is good. Okay, 3, 2, 1, here we go. And I can potentially throw my barrier where I want this fight to happen. Now, sometimes she's going to use her fortify to rotate. Sometimes she will have had that first barrier here, like we talked about, and she will have been doing some softening up to create, because she can't just walk at a Reinhardt. She'll lose. So she might throw the first barrier down to open her team. Now her team is open for all 6 of them to shoot at the opposing team. And then when her second barrier is just about available, or when this first barrier is just about gone, she might go, I've done enough work to soften you up. I'm going to advance. I'm going to fortify for my advance. Or when I get actually close, against a Rhine, you wouldn't fortify for the advance necessarily. Against the Rhine, you'd throw your barrier for the advance. And then once you're close, you'd fortify when you're pushing this team that you have actually softened up when you're in his range. It depends what you're playing against. But against this Reinhardt, it would be first barrier, when my team is ready, we're now opening the angle, we're softening them up, and then once they're soft, I throw the second, or once they're soft, I throw the second barrier forward, use it to get close, shoot at them, and then once I'm actually, like ready to push, ready to round onto the Reinhardt, that I fortify for once the Reinhardt is ready to swing on me, or, I'm fighting him when he's already down 200, 300 health, etc. Against a different team, that could look different. Playing against a strong poke team, it might be, hey, we throw the barrier's our signal, and then we have to advance, and we're going to advance with our fortify. And then once we're in our new place, we're going to drop our barrier. But if you try to drop your barrier earlier to just be like, well, I'm going to take a poke war while my team is still spawning, you're going to find that your barriers are breaking in like 2-3 seconds because they can have 6 people shooting at them. You don't have enough people shooting back. You don't have enough people keeping them honest. And then you're just waiting on your barrier, and you don't have your barrier when your team is ready. And you're like waiting 5 seconds to get a barrier down when your team is ready. So it's not a just constant barrier thing. It's a barrier when your team is ready, and then you can use your barrier to soften stuff up, and then the next barrier to advance. Or you can use the barrier to soften stuff up, and then advance with your fortify, depending on the situation. So advancing barriers is how Orisa takes space, more or less. She'll also take space with fortify. Again, it depends a little bit on what she needs her tools for. She's going to need her fortify to actually fight the Rhine. So against the Rhine, she's probably going to advance with a barrier. If she was playing against another Orisa, or if she was playing against, Sigma Diva, she might advance with fortify.
30 seconds remaining. Mission window closing.
It's unfortunate.
Achieve victory quickly.
That's not great. You just have to learn this better. Like, there's no reason to not actually get your halt there. You just explode. You just triggered that too early. Yeah, no, that shield was absolutely painful. Better, but like, please be better about this. So you're throwing out this halt, and you're just shooting the whole time where the halt is. And I don't love that. I guess I'm a little more okay with it because that soldier's totally behind cover. But then your adjustments for the moving soldier are really bad. You're not leading this soldier that was 100% going to run back to here. He was almost 100% going to run back to here, and you didn't lead that at all. Like, you were waiting here for him to fall. You tracked his fall a little bit, but then you didn't continue to predictively track this. If you're relying on your halt for all of your damage against a target, you're going to get this, like 60 damage against the target. You need to, off of your halts, be able to get like 100, 150 damage. 150 is a little generous for most of these, but like 100 damage against these squishies off of your halt. Like, yes, it should be worth that much damage. It can't be worth 60 or 50, because this wasn't even quite 60 damage. So that means you have to do a better job of tracking. Like, and it's not just track better, like there's actually think about how your halt works and how people are going to move. Like, actually aim with Orisa's weapon. I know Orisa's weapon feels a bit spammy, so some people just turn off their brain and don't really aim with it, but you have to actually be thinking, like, it is a tracking weapon. Where they're going to be. It's a pretty fast moving projectile, but it is tracking where they're going to be. Let me go ahead and do my shots, lead my shots on where they're going to be. The halt controls their movement, and then where they're going to go after the halt. Like, get your value. Yeah, Sombra should get the finish. But that's not amazing. Oh, well, with the hook, it'll work. Okay. Sure. You don't have any tools as you're pushing up here. So here you are. You threw this shield. This is I don't love this because you're committing that this is the location before I know that this is the location. I just don't know that this is where we want this fight to happen. But okay. And you immediately walk through your shield. The shield that you committed to back here, you immediately walk through. Was there any reason to put this shield down yet? Again, we don't use our shield on cooldown. And this is part of why we don't use our shield just automatically on cooldown, because this shield ended up being pretty darn worthless to us. And we can't have worthless shields. The cooldown is too long.
Fortifying defenses.
And now your fortify is over, and you can't put the shield where you actually want it yet, which would be, hey, I'm going to throw my shield up here, or I'm going to throw my shield up here, something like this, which would be great. But you can't do it yet. Too passive. Is Torb the only one you expect to fight? You're going to crush Torb. You're going to crush Torb with this shield. And then you're going to have a ton of shield left and be like, well, I want to shoot at these guys, but I can't. Or I don't get any shield value when doing so. So, except that you know you're going to beat Torb quickly, throw your shield a little bit further forward so that it's doing its curvature like this. And then, yes, you're exposing your shield to being shot from two different directions. But it's so obvious that you're going to beat this Torb and his turret so quickly, and your shield is now going to have been too passive for this to have been acceptable. Oh, look, Torb's gone, and you still have more than half your shield and 80% of your shield cooldown left.
Enemy turret neutralized.
No shield available. Okay. This doesn't work. You can't fortify to give yourself 1 second of protection before you throw your shield, because now you're not going to have your fortify. Like, if you're fortified like this when your shield is out, you actually need to get in front of your shield and be like, whoops, I made a mistake, and protect your shield with your fortify, which you obviously can't do here. Why the Anna? You're here, you throw that, you throw the halt. You probably expected the Torb to wander that way. Okay. But again, you should have been shooting the Torb until you pulled the trigger on your halt, at which point you should have snapped your crosshair back to the Torb. That's not what you did. That's fine. Your aim goes up there for the shield. You're doing this. You throw the halt. Great. That halt has a long way to go. So go aim at targets that are real. That Anna's gone. Flick back to the Torb, even if you just get 2 shots on him, and then flick back for the halt. And then flick back for the halt. That's like 7, 8, 9, 10 shots you've got out here. 11, 12, 13, 14. What are we at? I'm not actually looking at the number. I'm just counting this. But now, so like just before that was the first shot that you got on that Anna. It was like 15 shots of damage. Now, you might not have gotten 15 shots of damage on the Torb, but I bet you could have gotten 6 and not missed anything on the Anna from this halt. You can't push that Rhine. You don't have Fortify, so you get to drop a barrier, but only a moderately aggressive one. That's too aggressive.
Get behind the barrier.
Your cart is all the way back here. Your Anna is all the way back here. You don't get to be this aggressive. You wanted a passive barrier for this one, and your Fortify is still a good 2.5 seconds out. He's a second from being through this and on top of you. You wanted a more passive barrier here because this Torb had nowhere to go. This Reinhardt doesn't want to just sit here. He wants to be able to advance, and your barrier being right here doesn't let the Reinhardt advance. Because if the Reinhardt doesn't advance, your cart gets all the way from here to here, basically uncontested. This is an unacceptable amount of distance. This Reinhardt wants to push you. So make it hard on him. Don't give him a barrier that he can go through. Give him this type of barrier that he has to go through the current of your shots coming at him the whole time. Now he's going to feel a lot safer once he's through the barrier. And you might be thinking, oh, no, he won't, because then he's through the barrier and he won't get heals from his team. No. So, like, you wanted this more passive barrier. You wanted the option to deal with this Torb first. These were all better. There's more passive barrier, protected more here. Again, there's a time for the aggressive barrier, but the aggressive barrier is when you need to advance and take space. You don't need to get control of this corner right here. Control of this corner is more than plenty, and you're not going to force him back to the next corner. You're not likely. Your team isn't enough in position to support you, and the cart already is putting huge amounts of pressure on him to try to take this corner back and at least get control of this. Don't Q. Blah's Q sense is tingling. So there's the Fortify when you're half. See, Ryan did exactly what we expected and is trying to take the corner. Okay. It's fine. The Rhine's down. You'll have a cooldown back in time.
You're not getting away.
Good.
Enemies reviving.
Good. Track it
Prepare
down.
to
Track it down.
re-engage.
Watch her. Watch her. Barrier? Barrier's not going down? Okay. I mean, we needed to watch her, but our barrier could have been down a good second ago.
My ultimate is ready. Cease your resistance.
Too passive. This shield's too
For your
passive.
safety, please move behind the barrier. Don't move.
When I say your shield is too passive, I just wanted you to be able to go here where your supercharger is still getting you. That's all I wanted. So I wanted a shield that was just a little more aggressive. I didn't need like an up here shield, just a little bit more aggressive with your shield, because I know during your supercharger you wanted to be able to go like here. You then going further than this requires you to get a meaningful lead, but you did want to be able to go here, not just like, oh, I can just barely see, like that.
Activated.
That was better. You hit the reload cancel.
You're not getting away.
Oh, let's break it.
Moving behind the barrier. Don't move. Routing navigation system to defense.
There you are.
You're not getting away.
Trying to figure out how to do this. You have your cooldowns, even if not halts. I don't love that you did this halt that is a, hey, I would like to get finishes halt when you couldn't really advance. Their Torb lava was in the way, and you weren't able to lay a shield down.
I recommend moving behind my barrier.
And now your aggressive power isn't really synced. You'd like halts to sort of go out when you have shields up, because shields are already a go symbol for your team, and halts are an even more powerful go symbol for your team. So like shield halt, it's sort of like stacking cooldown power the same way we would stack a Winston dive and a Genji dash. It's reasonable.
To defense.
And then you advance with Fortify. You get that, and now you need to slide left. You're about to be in the open. You're going to drop a barrier, right? No? Okay. Okay. It's fine. Just pressure them from here.
Enemy in my sight.
I mean, she should have been eliminated. I'm not worried about that.
Step to this. This is gonna make you feel better.
Barrier, you're like one. I know. I know.
Rejoin my team.
Supercharger doesn't go through walls. Gold Orisa, also listen to plot and don't queue when you shouldn't queue. Somehow I don't think that'll be the title. Somehow. That'll get shredded instantly, but okay. That somehow did not get shredded instantly. Good. I don't know that I'd have been. I definitely wouldn't have been willing to do that shield, and I don't know that I'd have been willing to do that melee to give up my reload. Okay. They're in a pretty hard retreat.
Fortifying defense. Barrier
I'm actually okay with looking for a chance to use your supercharger, but I wouldn't use your supercharger here. These guys are already running and running relatively hard. I actually think you're going to be able to push these guys and get a supercharger, say, here for this next corner, but this is significantly more passive. It's working.
fortifying defenses.
You fort as you're being dove, sure.
System
You're
help.
body blocking.
I'm still low at this.
Oh, it should only be the part in the quotes there. Supercharger doesn't go through walls, Gold Orisa. Yeah, that could be it. So here you are. You're going to make your advance.
You are advised to move behind the barrier.
That's reasonable. I'd prefer to have thrown that just a little bit further forward. More like here. Like, I don't care about just the Sigma perhaps being able to walk through it because he's not going to. He's going to want to back up. And your team is going to potentially advance. Oh, well, you would expect your team, including you, to try to advance to and beyond where the barrier currently is.
Enemy turret neutralized.
So are you going to advance with your Fortify now? Okay.
10 seconds remaining.
Sure.
Get in there.
Except we don't like doing both of these. You're fortified right now.
I recommend
Please
moving
don't, the
behind
instant
my
you
barrier.
fortify, drop your barrier. You do need these to be staggered a bit. You really do. This is half your fortify that's getting wasted. While your barrier gets destroyed. And now, oh, you're out. And you're 10 and 7 seconds from your cooldowns because you overlapped those so hard. And you weren't like forced to overlap them where you were using a barrier, you expected to be able to use your barrier, and then Orion sped through it with a Lucio, and you went, shoot, I have to fortify. That's not what happened. You forced your own.
Cease your resistance.
Okay. Cart. Okay. We don't really want you stacking your barrier and your fortify the way you are. We want you to get a much better understanding of when your barriers need to be placed more to take space, which is more when you want to take space, and more when they should be spaced passively, which is when the opponents have to take space against you. Like, you need a better understanding of that, and we desperately need you to actually aim with your halts. Not aim your halts itself, but aim while your halts are traveling, aim your left click. While your halts go off, aim your left click. And then while people are running to get back to cover because they get halted, we need you to aim. We need you to aim during all three of those steps to actually make your halt a good individual ability. It's still a good team ability if you're calling it, but for it to be an ability that does you a lot of good individually, you have to aim during all three parts of it. Okay, there'll be more. We'll get into it if it's necessary, but those are the three things that are at the bubbled to the top right now. Most important for you to deal with. We'll obviously see if that changes in round 2.
Damage amplified. Hello.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. You are advised to stop the payload.
Okay, fine with me. Better. You guys zoomed, yeah. Yeah, it's not great, but like at least we're in this situation where, hey, we've used some of our fortify. Oh, you threw a halt right into the reflect. That hurts.
For your safety,
At
please
least
move
we've
behind
used
the barrier.
3/4 of our fortify before we shielded, at least. You still didn't need to shield yet. You still had more here, but so be it. Do I want to teach you how to duel Genjis? I suppose I should micro duel Genjis. Flankers are annoying to you as Orisa, but they're not that hard to beat. There's a Genji. You can poke him out before he gets here. That's what you try to do. Then you swap to bigger targets. I'd prefer the Diva over the Rhine Shield, but sure. Still prefer the Diva. Prefer the Diva or the Rhine Shield over the wall. There's the Genji. So we're going to shoot at him to force his deflect. Force his deflect. You still have enough ammo to fight him. You're fine. I don't know why we're not fighting him. Fortifying now is fine. We would have liked to fortify perhaps a touch earlier when we had a little more armor health, but this is okay. We don't throw halt after he's deflected, and we stop shooting now that he's deflected, and we actually work our way backwards towards our team so that we stop shooting and we work our way backwards towards our team so that our team potentially has the ability to support us with, I don't know, a healing station, shots, anti-shots, etc. We bring the fight back closer to our team while he has deflect going. We're perfectly okay with surrendering a bit of space to him. We're perfectly okay. No, we're not trying to like body block him out. We took too long to stop shooting. Now we're shooting again, but again, we popped this barrier early. And now he's just going to crush you while you do this, right? Yeah. Because you had too far to run back to your team. And this shouldn't be weird to you because you're a GM support player. So it shouldn't be weird to you to, when a Genji pops deflect, just to be like, yep, cool, see ya. And sort of be like, I was kiting back towards my team anyways so that I could potentially get support from other people on my team. Like, that's a little weird that you made that mistake. Of not being willing to do that. How hard would it be to one-trick Orisa to Masters or GM? I mean, it's been done plenty of times. There's unranked to GM stuff out there for Orisa in terms of right now when it's not really her meta in this meta. To Masters, it wouldn't be very hard because the meta isn't enforced hard enough in Diamond, so you could get to Masters. Getting to GM would be a little harder, more than a little harder, because your teammates are going to start tilting on you. Like, I'm not going to say that your teammates don't tilt on you in lower ranks, but your teammates are going to be much less happy and much less fun in Masters as Orisa trying to force your way up to GM. Not undoable, but forcing the wrong tank is always relatively hard, but always somewhat doable. I mean, we've seen it done with off meta tanks plenty of times. It's been done, not the easiest. Yeah.
For your own safety, get behind the barrier.
Are you sure that's where you want your shield? Okay, we're leaving, right? Do you hear the diva? Do you hear the diva? You don't want to get control of this. That is not a barrier. Again, you're not looking to take space against this team. You're looking to delay this team from pushing you. When you're pushing a team, when you're trying to take space against them, aggressive barriers. When you control the space that the team wants to take from you, more defensive barriers. I don't, like... Do you think you're gonna farm them here? What do you think you're doing? Okay. As far as I'm concerned, you almost gave up the first half of a second there with that play, but whatever. Sure. Except we need a fresh barrier, desperately. I really would have preferred a fresh barrier over the fortify, but okay. Nope. Remember the 17-second wait time? Okay, it wasn't 17, it was 10 and 7. But remember that. You're about to have it again. Yes, I know there's a Bastion. Yes, I know the Bastion is scary. You're going to snipe a halt across, right? To get him off the cart? Sure. What was that shield for? This is Reinhardt. Reinhardt. Was he going to shatter you from right here? Is that what this shield was for? Come on. You know how this works. Were you trying to stop him from getting healed by his teammates? If you wanted him to not get healed by his teammates, you'd have still thrown your barrier over here. That's just you being like, autopilot, I throw shield down before I fight, which you just want to be thinking a little bit more about, wait, what is this actually doing? I get it, but a little bit more of what is this actually doing? wouldn't even be your usual barrier. Your usual barrier would be over here, and I think you know that because most of your barriers have been to extend a corner. So this is a little weird to me.
Cease your resistance.
Okay. Okay. That's their Genji. They have a Valk going. You have a Valk going. Yeah. Please no. I mean, maybe if you set it behind the tree, maybe. Again, I'd have liked your barrier to be more over here and then your supercharger to have been here, and I'm not convinced I'd have been willing to use it into this, but okay. Let's take our silly amount of damage. Good. Hurts.
Please move behind the barrier.
Okay. Why are we shooting at the Rhine rather than the Bastion? Now we shoot at the Rhine.
Group up with me.
I don't want to be on top of the Rhine when I wake him up. I still want some distance.
Rally at my position. Group up. Move.
I don't do more damage to Rhine by being closer to him. I would have been perfectly happy to wake the Rhine up from over here, wake him up, halt him, shoot at him some more, and then as he retreats because he lost too much, open the angle further as he goes through the big straightaway. And if he comes at me, cool, I just keep backing up. Back up into here. Not sure why you felt the need to do that way.
System restart initialized. The payload.
That's nice, Blah. That's nice. But he still would have eliminated you.
Hello. Lethality level increased.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, deploy.
Behind the barrier.
Did you call this? Is your echo ready? No. Could we have waited the extra second for our echo to be, well, 2 seconds for our echo to be ready and bombarded the Bastion with stickies while our diva did this? Maybe, but our diva did this, so be it. No halt? No halt to enable the self-destruct play? Interesting.
Enemy target located.
Go into spawn. Go into spawn to get help. Too late. Yeah. Okay. Your priorities aren't going to change. You need to understand how barrier works and how space taking with Orisa works. Well, specifically, we're going to get into your barriers. When it comes to playing Orisa, if you have space that they need to take from you, cool. We can do a nice defensive barrier that is close, that is working, that is protecting you, that your teammates can use if they want, that they have to advance towards. We like that. If on the flip side, we are advancing at the enemy, yeah, then we can go with a more aggressive, more forward barrier because we don't want a barrier to be so shallow that then we're forced to immediately go through it and whoops, it's not doing us any good for the second half of its life, for the second 2/3 of its life. We don't want that. So more aggressive barriers when we're trying to take space, more passive barriers when we're trying to enforce space. And we're going to do a lot of enforcing space with Orisa. That's a thing that we do. Don't get me wrong on that. We can also do, like I was saying at the beginning here, we can go, hey, I start with a pretty passive barrier when my whole team can use it, but a relatively passive barrier, get my poke work done, and then even if they break it and I have to wait it out and do this, etc., my next barrier is more aggressive because now we've softened you up, and then in this Reinhardt situation, we run at you using our next barrier, shooting at you, continuing to soften you up, and then you're low enough on resources that we now actually are willing to fight you if we got a big enough lead with our fortify. Should you have actually taken other routes and rotated up through here and been like this and halted from here, or taken the other route up here and pressured them from here, pressured them from here? Yes, of course you should have. Of course you should have. And you know that. You absolutely know that that's the right answer. So no problem there. But Even if you're doing a normal run it up mid thing, you got to change your barrier usage. And defensively, we're not going to throw a barrier down here unless we actually plan to take this space to then use this. We're going to be like, hey, I can set up a relatively passive barrier. In cleanup, might I throw more aggressive barriers? Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the first thing about barrier use. The second thing about barrier use is that Orisa really, really cares about not being caught without either of these. If she's caught without either of these, she's got very little left in the tank. She really can't survive very well, especially if she's also in the middle of nowhere without cover available to her. So you really want to be in a little bit of a cycle where I'm not saying that you're not willing to use Fortify when your barrier is still up. That might happen. You might have to. I'm not saying that you're not ever willing to throw a barrier down before your Fortify is ever, though that would be less frequent. But by and large, you are looking to create a little bit of like a barrier, fortify, barrier type situation most of the time, or sometimes a barrier, fortify situation, and then in theory there'd be another barrier later. You're not really looking to go, oh, I fortified, and then a second into my fortify, I throw down my barrier. That's not really what we want to be doing. That's not going to be our best thing. That's going to make us very not useful. Orisa counts on being able to keep open angles open, being able to keep her very consistent pressure up with her large clip for fairly long periods of time. She can't just be like, oh, I'm shooting at you constantly, but she needs to be able to get decent amount of uptime. She is not an uptime bot. She is not a, oh, I just use barrier every single cooldown it's up and use it and shoot and whatever. That isn't necessarily how you play her. But you are looking to, once you start, be able to stay in the fight or mostly stay in the fight for a pretty long period of time. You might be out of the fight for 2 seconds, but they shouldn't be able to fully recover from the pressure that you and your team put on them if you were timing that initial barrier around your team's ability to pressure the whole time. So that's two different things that I've given you about the barrier. The last thing I want to give you is about your halt. It's really important that you get more out of your halt. You have to actually go, hey, I'm going to shoot my halt. I'm going to aim while my halt is going out here. So if my halt is going out towards my crosshair, and let's pretend this bastion isn't here. Let's just get a different screen. Let's pretend that I am trying to halt this Anna back out from over here. And my crosshair is here, and I throw this halt at the Anna. Fine. I'm then going to shoot over here at this Anna. And I know the Anna's going to run, so I'm going to drag my crosshair this way. I might even use the threat of the halt that I then miss with, preferably not, to cause her to go this way that makes her predictable, which means I can track her the whole way out and get lots of damage. Or if she gets yanked and I have to be able to pull that trigger while shooting at the Anna, pull my halt trigger to yank her in, I can immediately flick my aim to hit the headshots on her. Drag down, maybe I'm only getting body shots on the drag down, so be it, but I also then know where she's going to run. And it doesn't have to be an in the sky halt, by the way. Ground halts are just fine too. Even if they don't fall to the ground, they're still going to be massively slowed for almost half a second when they get halted. Third of a second, half a second, something in that territory. And you'll get that, and then you'll still be able to fairly well predictable. Now she's here, so she's going to run towards the cart. So I'll track her on this way here. You got to do better at that. You got to be able to aim as the halt is going out without it taking all your brain power. You got to be able to hit the flick on the halt when you do pull the halt trigger on the halt to pull them in. And you got to be able to follow them on, well, I have a pretty good idea of where they're going to try to go for cover because they've been in the open for so long now and they're desperate to get behind cover. You got to do all three of those things. So I just gave you three different things to work on your Orisa. They're all important, but I do not want you to do them all at once. I want you to pick them, go through them one at a time, using like 5 to 15% of your brain power, one at a time to work through these. You work on it, you get better at that specific thing. Maybe that takes you 5 games, maybe that takes you 8 games, maybe that takes you 15 games, maybe that takes you 25 games. I don't really care. However many games it takes it to sort of lock it into your autopilot because you were focusing on it. You weren't just like, oh yeah, this is what I'm working on. And then, oh yeah, what was I working on 6 games later? It's like, no, this is something that you're using your brain power to think about. Not 50% of your brain power, but like 5 to 50 to 15% of your brain power while playing. And that should really help lock it in. And once it's locked in, then you can move on to the next thing that you want to work on. And I gave you a second thing to work on. And then you do the same thing there. And if you find when you're working on the second thing, the first thing gets more than just a little bit worse, you weren't done with it yet, and you need to drop the second thing, Go back to the first thing, get it back up, focus on it, then potentially try to move on again. And this time, if it only falls a tiny bit, and a tiny bit is natural because it's not totally your focus anymore, and then it stops falling, that's fine. You can stay on the second thing and do what you need to raise that. And then you go through the same system to get to the third. And then once you've gotten to the third, well, congratulations. You're significantly better, not like 300, not like 30, excuse me, not like 3000 SR better, not like 2000 SR better, not even necessarily 1000 SR better, but you're going to be better at Overwatch, because as you get better at Overwatch, you do that by stacking correct habits into your autopilot. That's how you get better at Overwatch. Every once in a while, will you override them? Yes, but you stack these better habits into your Overwatch one at a time. Don't try to do 3 things at once. Don't try to do 6 things at once. Get better at one thing at a time while still playing a decent game of Overwatch, which generally means 5 to 15% of your brain power. Okay, if people have questions, go ahead and throw them up in chat now. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe, as that helps out quite a bit, and I really do appreciate that. Or if you are looking to get coaching yourself, you can join my Discord in the description below, see what rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all that good stuff. By the way, if people are looking to ask questions themselves and they're watching this in the future as a video, the best way to do that is to, in my Discord, you can go to the get notifications channel, and if you react to that, you'll get Discord pings when I go live, so you can potentially be here for the question and answer phase, which, you get a chance to pick a former top contenders coach's brain. I answer some questions for you. Works out pretty well. Okay, let's take another look here. Orisa likes to feed hard, sort of, yeah. It's on the aggressive side at times, certainly. We talked about how hard it is to trick Orisa to Masters or GM. Not too hard for Masters. Doable for GM. Always hard to do tanks outside of their meta. Always relatively hard to do tanks outside of their meta. So, fairly hard, but in this particular meta, this wouldn't be a great one. Yeah. Start punching him. Kenshi's like being punched when they're deflecting. It doesn't do anything to them. Needed to shoot the payload. Invite Blast guest speaker on stream. I mean, I could. Blast sort of took over the chat here, but that's okay. Sometimes that happens. Other times other people get mixed in there more. You get it. You get it. Okay. I'm not seeing any more questions there, so I think that's going to do it. I'll give it another 15 seconds or so in case I'm missing anything. In case we're missing anything here. Nope, looks like that's going to do it.